So it's Asia finally making a comeback of Capital A, right? They've been inside the PN17 list for a very, very long time, and a regularization plan has been pushed back many times, many months.
Yes.
And however, the market seems to think that, hey, now maybe it's waking up. Pharmaniaga, similar, right? They had to write down a lot of the goods because of COVID. They ordered too much, right? Basically. And they immediately, accounting-wise, they got hit into a PN17 status. And now they're up, is my
89%.
89, yeah.
Yeah, it's almost doubled
crazy.
already. So today we're going to be talking about these few stocks that most likely going to be lifting off their PN17 status. So that's why the market is liking them a lot.
Too busy to find stock ideas? Check out FIRL Pro to shortcut your research time and effort by 90%. 10% off link in the comments and description.
So let's start with Capital A and also for AAX over here. Both of these companies is up double digit. Okay, so for Capital A, they came a very long way. They got classified as PN17 in January 2022 because of COVID-19. And then since then, they've been trying to get a lot of documents, trying to find plans, get capital to inject into the business.
Getting rid of assets, things like that.
Yeah. And then so that progressed to 10th of March 2025 where, Tony Fernandez, he said that Capital A most likely can exit out PN17 by May 2025. So yeah, that already has some sort of indication. Then they got pushed back, got delayed again. So right now, they say that Capital A is likely going to be completing their airline disposal in October this year, 2025. And then they foresee that PN17, they'll be able to exit it by year end, which is end of 2025. This is also said by Mr. Tony Fernandez. But there is conditions for it to actually get some approval for this regularization plan to be approved, right? So there's three things that they need to do. Number one is securing 1 billion in capital. This one, they done it already through private placement, through a lot of revenue bonds, all this kind of, a lot of fundraising activity that's going on. The second one, which is finalizing the 6 consent letters. This I'm not sure what's the consent letter all about, but I assume has to do with, getting the funds and also disposal of their airlines and all these kind of restructuring kind of plans. And then the third one, which is obtaining a waiver from the Thai Stock Exchange on the general offer requirement. So they say that they are confident they can team all of this in the next few more months or maybe even weeks. So they say that by end of October, the disposal of airlines should be completed already. Which means after that, they just need to do a little bit of paperwork for them to file the PN17 to be lifted off, which will happen in around year end. This is according to their projections. And if you take a look at some of their numbers in their latest quarterlies for Capital A, right, actually they are still making losses in terms of their individual quarter for continuing operations over here. So you can see they are still making about 200 million in losses and they are still negative in terms of operating cash flow. So it's still not out of the woods yet. And if you look at their business, it's asset-light business. They're going to be transitioning more towards software, more towards service-based, which is related to maintenance, MRO-related kind of things. So you have your AD, Teleport Group, which is logistics-related. Asia Move also is the same. Big Pay, this one is their software. Santan, this is their restaurant. ABC, this one is the, branding, Asia branding. Cool. And then
it's basically super high margin for the branding side.
Yeah, but they are still trying to turn around. They haven't really generated enough economies of scale to see the margins to improve. But I think in the next few quarters or next few years, I think these numbers will be even better. As for recently, Datuk Kamarudin has been buying a lot of shares for AAX. I think also because due to the merger of the long haul plus the short haul business operations. And we also did valuation comparison between these few airlines over here. So there's Singapore Airlines, Delta Airline, which is related to America, and then Cathay Pacific Airways. So if you look at their valuation, it seems like AAX have a little bit of room for growth in terms of just PE expansion alone. You can see that most of these airlines is trading at around 7 to 8 times, whereas for AAX is still about 4 times. So maybe there's some sort of upside, and probably also the reason why Datuk is actually buying recently, because it looks undervalued. Okay, so that is for Capital A, and the next stock we're going to be covering, which almost went up 2 times, is Pharmaniaga. So they also say that they're going to be getting their approval in terms of their regularization plan by the first quarter of 2026, which is next year already. However, they need to report 2 consecutive quarters of profit.
And how is that going to happen?
This one we need to see whether they can do their magic and whether they can turn profit. Right now they're actually turning profit, but the margin is still very thin margin. But this is the condition for them to exit out the PN17 status. right? And also we have some insights over here. This is our FIRL management notes, and we do share it with our members quite early on already.
This is a sneak peek for you guys.
Yes. So we're not going to talk about the key thing, which is what is the net profit target for 2025 and also for 2026, because I think this is sensitive information. So we only share it with our FIRL members over here. But essentially, the double in share price recently, it's going to be quite expensive. Yeah, based on the guidance that they provided for their profit.
Yeah,
in the future.
optically very expensive.
Exactly. But anyhow, you can get some of this information here, which we didn't censor. So there is a few information, which is insulin cartridge to start production from October 2026 and all this kind of like information over here. You also can get some insights on their prospects from the latest issue. So right now, the revenue, majority of the contribution comes from the logistic operation, which is about 60%. And then the balance 40% comes from the manufacturing. But they did say that in the future, they want to manufacture more biopharma. So that would hopefully, they say they want to increase that to 70% of their revenue, which is a high margin business. And you can see what are they planning to manufacture, right? It's basically something to do with, insulin, diabetes related kind of like biopharma, all these kind of like very, very high demand kind of like products. So that is something that they are trying to penetrate in, and also they want to increase the production for this kind of the business. And you also can see this is the margins. So pre-tax profit margin for logistics is very thin, obviously, because they are just shipping things here and there only. Whereas for manufacturing, their pre-tax margin is 25%. It's a very, very high margin business, and they want to increase the revenue contribution from this one. So most likely in the future, we can see that their thin margin might start to increase, assuming all things going well.
Remain the same, yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So that is something for you guys to look out for Pharma. And LTAC, recently, LTAC has been buying, even though after they have finished the right issue, they also bought some of the right issue shares. They are still buying activity in the market. Yes, and also Jacker Medicals, and all of them are actually buying into this company at the moment. So the few questions that you may be asking is, should you still chase? Well, we cannot ignore that there may be potential delays again.
And it's the thing with Asia, like for whatever reason, it's always been optically cheap, even before the PN17, right? It's just so fantastic. Everything works, on paper, but somehow people, I don't know why in the financial community, people don't trust Tan Sri Tony a lot. Maybe they don't like his sort of financial engineering. They like to use the word, right? Not in a good way, but basically Sri Tony is an accountant by training, and so he's always creatively trying to find ways to get more funding, to structure deals and their debt and all that. And maybe people don't quite like that kind of behavior. So I think it's an individual issue. However, Tan Sri Tony is also planning to be more reserved now, right? He's not going to play a more active role, executive role. But I believe in one of the subsidiaries or one of the business units, he's going to be a director. The one that requires turning around, I believe I can't remember, the one that was loss-making.
It's the teleport, is it?
I believe so, yes. Yeah. Could be wrong, but I will probably put in the comments and clarify. So he's going to have a reduced role, so maybe that could change the perception of people, right? Of course, we have to see the new CEO, and of course, people will say, okay, maybe he stepped down, but what if he's still actually managing it, behind the scenes? Who knows? So so the delays are definitely going to be a challenge. However, there are big improvements in AD and teleport. And the key is teleport, because once teleport flips into profitability, then I think the regularization plan is going to be a lot faster.
Yeah, so that's the first key thing. The second one is obviously you want to whether you think their business is sustainable. So in the case for Capital A, do you think
it's Big Pay? Sorry.
Big Pay. Okay.
Big Pay.
So do you think is their AD group are going to be interesting to you? Do you think their teleport or their Big Pay or their branding is going to be good? So this is the things that you need to take note of, whether you like the business for the long term.
So in a way, the best business here is the ABC, because it just flows very close to the bottom line. So for those who don't know, what this is that to use the AirAsia brand, Tan Sri
get a commission cut.
It goes to him, right? So he just puts this business into Capital A. So in essence, the AirAsia and AAX business, which is AAX, actually pays Capital A for the right to use their name.
Yeah, it's like a royalty like that.
Yeah, basically. So it's the best business, and that's where I think a lot of the salaries of the management actually come from.
It's like, that's why you see, right, the revenue over here is 47 million, but the profit is like 37 million.
Yeah, it flows more or less straight to the bottom line. And so I suspect the cost also it's to the management team. Yeah, that's how they pay them.
Yeah, okay. Last but not least over here is the valuation. So optically, you can see that, for example, Pharmaniaga, it looks very cheap. It's about 5 times. But if based on the guidance that's provided by the management, this number is actually not very low. It could be 2 times, 3 times, or it could be 10 times more higher. I'll leave it to your own imagination or projection. But what we can share is that it's going to be quite premium at this current price point. This is just for the case of Pharmaniaga. For case for capital A, and maybe it still looks pretty, undervalued, at least on the surface. But anyhow, if you think that, this three business is interesting to you, you like the long-term prospects, right? Then obviously you can start to get some position on either of these three companies. But if you want to get more information or stocks that we find interesting, you can check out FIRL Pro. Our latest performance is actually very, very good thanks to the recent bull market and also some of the stocks that we have initiated. Somehow we got very lucky. Once we initiated a position, the stock just went like 10%, 20% all of a sudden. And we also have some members who bought it at a 10% discount. I think they managed to profit also some of this when we initiated a position. So there is some perks let's say if you buy, FIRL Pro right now before later because of some additional stocks that we managed to share with you guys during that particular time. But anyhow, if you want to know what is FIRL Pro, is where we share companies that we find interesting. We do it in a form of write-up. So this write-up, it doesn't really take you a lot of time, only just 10-15 minutes to understand companies, business prospect, catalyst, risk management, numbers. Everything is inside over here. And on top of that, we do meet management exclusively. So when we see CEOs, we have a one-on-one meeting with them, or inside industry experts, not insider, and also, maybe some institution analysts. So we have some access to them and we'll get even more insights that might not be available to the public. And we share them inside FIRL Pro. And if you are a dividend lover, you like cash flow, you can check out the Boring Portfolio. Right now, our dividend yield is about 9%. And if you can recall our past, updates, right, you know that company C didn't pay dividend, but recently they did pay. D and E also is coming soon. I think you will see this in October. And if you want to know what's the names, make sure to check out FIRL Pro. You can get a 10% discount at the description and comments. And if you want to see how we do our write-ups, we have 2 sample write-ups for you over here. So number 1 is KGB. This company has been doing very, very well. It's still going up as we speak today. It's up about 4 times already since we have initiated. And not only just KGB, Delium also is another company that we have shared with you guys inside the free sample. That one we really took profit. But if you want to know the information, everything is inside over here. And not only just that, we also share samples of our management notes. There will be 3 management notes and a video from SIB. And it's totally for free. Just go to the description and comments and subscribe to the course. So that's about it for today's video. See you guys next week.
Bye-bye.